Good morning, traders. I am Emily Ivani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Wednesday, March 26th. Green is green. Yesterday, markets held onto marginal gains following a pretty low-key session to make it 3 winning days in a row on Wall Street. All 3 major indices stayed near flatline pretty much all day. The Dow added just 4 points, or 0.01%. The S&P 500 picked up 9 points, or 0.16%. The Nasdaq advanced 83 points, or about 0.5%. Bill, let's get into Wednesday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Yes. Good morning, Emily. Listen, watching the S&Ps, we're actually seeing an uptick. I mean, we were lower all morning long, and now I'm seeing showing us up 0.01%. I mean, regardless of the amount, it is still an uptick. So the market's still kind of focused on that April 2nd tariff announcement, but we are seeing some gains in semis, and that's really helping. That EU trade commissioner, he was in Washington yesterday where he met with a bunch of U.S. officials. He said talks were substantive, so that's positive. I see that a trade official from Mexico is going to the White House either later today or tomorrow. I couldn't really tell. It looks like it's going to be tomorrow. He's probably arriving today. But, listen, there are 15 companies that Trump officials are focused on. We're talking, some of these countries include China, Mexico, South Korea, Canada, India, Thailand, Italy, Switzerland, and Malaysia. These are the countries that, are going to be weakest when the tariff announcement is announced next week. Plus, the Trump administration added dozens of Chinese companies to its blacklist yesterday. The key economic report this morning, durable goods. Durable goods orders hits 1 hour before the opening bell. Dollar Tree is said to be in a deal with the private equity group. That's positive. I'm also keeping an eye on Oracle as, a decision on TikTok ownership could happen next week. And that's when it's expected to happen anyways. Taking a look over at Europe, we're looking at the DAX. I mean, the DAX is showing weakness. I mean, it's down 136 points or 0.59%. This is really where it's been for a while. They're focused on the tariff, the tariff announcement next week. The recent reports indicate that President Trump is considering a 2-phase plan with high tariffs but possible concessions for certain countries. We'll see. London, London's trading higher. It's up about 12 points or 0.14%. UK inflation slowed unexpectedly in February. Miners, oils, they're outperforming this morning. The CAC in Paris down 53 points or 0.66%. Okay. Tariff issues are really the key focus there. Then we're turning our attention over to Asia last night and see what happened over there. And for the most part, we did see some gains. I mean, the Nikkei finished higher by 246 points or 0.65%. They do think that Trump is going to be less aggressive, especially in Japan, as compared to other countries. Bank of Japan governor's still thinking that they're going to be raising rates this year, so we've got to be a little cautious there. Hong Kong finished up higher by 139 points or 0.6%. Most of the sectors were positive, led by tech and consumer and property stocks. The Shanghai was flat. I mean, it was flat to lower, down 0.04%. Economic concerns. Tomorrow we should get a stimulus announcement, so we'll have to wait and see what they say tomorrow. From the Chinese government officials. Then we're turning our attention over to oil, and guess what? Oil is trading higher. We're seeing gains in oil. WTI is at $69.58 a barrel. Brent is at $73.61 a barrel. Oil's trading higher by more than 0.8%. API, American Petroleum Institute, their inventory estimates, they decreased by 1.2 million barrels. Now that was contrary to the market's expectations of an increase. So a drawdown in oil is actually positive for oil prices, less supply. But that's what I have for you in terms of morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as tariff talks remain in focus and we're anticipating that April 2nd deadline, there's still other details to be watching as we hear from your overview of what is happening in the markets this morning. So we don't want to miss other market moving details as we sort of sift through those main headlines. And those include things like earnings action, economic events. You did give a preview at least of one important economic report. And then there are other market moving headlines. And we're going to get to all of it throughout today's show. Turning first to earnings action, Bill, what is going on there?
I'm going to start off with last night with GameStop, ticker GME, Grace Michael Edwards. They beat by 8 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. You look at the stock this morning, it's up 15.91%. See, they're going to start taking in Bitcoin, and that's really where the value, the reason for the big move this morning is happening. Chewy, ticker CHWY, Charlie, Henry, William, Yellow, they beat by 8 cents on higher revenue. Stocks up 5% this morning. Dollar Tree, DLTR, David, Larry, Tom, Richard, they beat by 9 cents, but it was done on lower revenue. Now, stock's up 4.86%. There's other things going on, with Dollar Tree that's causing that move higher. And upcoming, after the bell today, CNXC, Charlie, Nancy, X-Ray, Charlie, Concentrix, their EPS is $2.58. Expected move is 13.39%. Jefferies Financial Group, ticker JEF, John, Edward, Frank, their EPS is 88 cents. Expected move is 8.74% when they release this afternoon. Emily.
Bill, you mentioned both Dollar Tree and Chewy. You're going to get to a little bit more news on them later in the show, so we'll keep listening for those ticker symbols. Now we're going to get to the economic events of the day, at least one that's worth noting before the opening bell, but gives a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
8:30 a.m. we get the durable goods orders report. At 10:30 we get the EIA oil stockpiles report. In terms of Fed speak, at 10 a.m. we're going to hear from Minneapolis Fed Bank President Neil Kashkari. Then at 1:10 p.m. we're going to hear from St. Louis Fed Bank President Alberto Mossam. In terms of that durable goods orders, expectations is for a month-to-month reading to come in minus 1%. Compared to the previous reading of plus 3.1% in January. It's worth noting that durable goods orders can be quite volatile month to month, and they're often influenced by large orders in transportation sector. So, wouldn't be surprised if we have a big move here, but that doesn't necessarily indicate a change in economic stance. But we'll have to see what the report says when it's released 1 hour before the opening bell this morning, Emily.
And when that is released, Bill, you'll grab that using your NewsWare and your economic alert. You also do have an alert for Fed speak and earnings action, and still you have more alerts. You can set up alerts for all different types of news and information, including things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news. Bill, you look at your stocks group together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks to really gather sort of trends ahead of the trading day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. Listen, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 20 higher, I got 9 lower, 1 unchanged. Kind of like that. That's semi-positive. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. There's weakness in Tesla. There's a little weakness in Google, but everything else is positive. So, we could see a flat to higher opening. Talking about some of the news behind the tape this morning, like Apple, that iPhone 16 series, it's going to be available in Indonesia starting April 11th after months of being banned. Amazon, ticker AMZN, they're testing a new shopping health-focused AI service on its platform. Tesla came out with news said that they're planning to launch in Saudi Arabia on April 10th. That could be positive. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, we're talking Merck. Merck gets EU regulators' approval for one of its vaccines. Amazon. Firefly Aerospace selects Blue Origin to explore the domes on the moon. Ooh, that could be something. Boeing. This is interesting to me. A judge sets June 23rd as the date for Boeing's 737 MAX crash criminal trial. I mean, you'd rather take a risk with the current DOJ rather than the former DOJ. So, yeah, this could be positive news for Boeing, ticker BA, Boy Apple. In terms of merger news, DLTR. I talked about earnings earlier, but Dollar Tree is selling its family business for about $1 billion to a private equity group. That's positive for the stock. PSX, Paul Sam X-Ray. Phillips 66 proposes new board members amid its battle with Elliott management. I want to point out deal making in the first quarter, it hit a 20-year low. I mean, that's we were expecting more deal making in the first quarter, but it's just not happening yet because the market is just weak. In terms of guidance news, Chewy, CHWY, they see Q1 adjusted EPS coming in 30 cents to 35 cents. Street estimates at 20 cents. That's why you're seeing Chewy up now 5.53%. Dollar Tree, ticker DLTR, they see Q1 adjusted EPS coming in $1.10 to $1.25. Street estimates $1.48. But remember, they're selling the dollar Family Dollar business, so that could affect their forecast a little bit. I gotta read more into that. Let's talk shareholders meetings. Ring Central, ticker RNG. Richard Nancy Grace. They're hosting a virtual event today on its AI innovations. Lightspeed, LSPD, Larry, Sam, Paul, David. They're hosting a capital markets day today. They're doing it at the NYSE. Dutch Bros, BROS, they're holding an investors day tomorrow at 11 a.m. Sienna, ticker CIEN, Charlie India, Edward Nancy. They're holding their stockholders meeting tomorrow at 3 p.m. In terms of the buyback news, LSPD, Lightspeed, they approved a share repurchase plan of up to $95 million. Cognizant, ticker CTSH, Charlie Tom, Sam Henry. They added $500 million to their 2025 share repurchasing plan. That brings the total to $1.1 billion. Not bad. And that's what I have for you about news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
I'm going with Bros, Dutch Bros, BROS, boy, Richard, Oscar, Sam. Listen, the Investors Day is tomorrow. You know, brokers are out there raising price targets on the stock today and yesterday. So I kind of think that we're going to have something interesting happen tomorrow. I mean, I'm looking at yesterday's call volume. It's not really telling me anything. I mean, 1,882 calls versus 1,776 puts. It's essentially flat, but on the call side. But for me to get into this stock, I got to get it at a discount. I mean, I'm talking $70 to $70.40 kind of is my, entry area. So if it comes into that, I'll split it and say $70.20. But that's my pick of the day. Dutch Bros, BROS, $70.20. Boy, Richard, Oscar, Sam, Emily.
Dutch Bros, it is today. We'll follow that along with you. Looking at those brokers, price target raises, and sort of the news cycle ahead of the shareholders meeting, putting the data together for that pick. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off. So stick with us through that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay. Starboard Value delivers a letter to Autodesk, ADSK. Interesting. They're a significant stockholder of Autodesk. Carter's, ticker CRI, Charlie Richard India, they appoint a new CEO. Baker Hughes, BKR, they announced a multi-year contract with Dubai Petroleum Establishment. Trump takes new approach to choking off China's access to U.S. tech. AAP, Advanced Auto Parts, expects to open 30 new locations in the U.S. this year. Lululemon is releasing earnings tomorrow afternoon. I think could move $40 when they release. Uber announced a partnership with Sally's Beauty to bring products to Uber Eats. Google's YouTube captures 11.6 of TV viewing in February, according to Nielsen. U.S. Supreme Court is set on Wednesday to hear the FCC's defense on the mechanism to use a multi-billion-dollar effort to expand phones and broadband internet access to low-income and rural Americans and other beneficiaries. Canada has frozen all rebate program payments to Tesla and banned the electric vehicle maker from further EV rebate programs. That's all I'm seeing this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off today, dive into trading on this Wednesday. Let's do a quick check in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Palantir. I did catch a headline yesterday. They did announce a strategic partnership with EverFox, which is a leader in cross domain technology solutions. You had mentioned in your pick that you thought the recent weakness was overdone. It was sort of a chance to get in here at this stock and get a bit of a gain there. As listeners recall, yesterday was sort of a flat line of a day, not too much volatility. But Bill, were you able to snag a gain with this one? How did your call work out?
It worked out well. I got my 1%. I mean, the stock opened up at 97.22, fell down to 96.21, then it rebounded to 97.74. So I took that 1% and I walked away. It did weaken to 95.03, but it closed really, at 96.50, which was which was kind of like my entry price. So yeah, Palantir, PLTR was a winner yesterday for me, Emily.
A win there, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Dutch Bros pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Vani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.